The viewport shimmered. A vast canvas of infinite night just beyond Lyra's bed. Pinpricks of light, diamond dust scattered across velvet, danced with the slow, majestic sweep of the orbital haven's rotation. A distant, spiraling nebula, a painter's palette of cosmic gas and newborn stars, pulsed with silent energy. Lyra, however, wasn't watching the universe. She was meticulously arranging her collection of polished moon pebbles on her nightstand, each one a different shade of grey, each whispering a forgotten story of lunar craters and ancient impacts. "Lyra Bell," came the soft melodic voice of Aura, her designated AI companion. It wasn't a voice from a speaker, it was woven into the very air of her room, a comforting presence that felt like warm sunlight on her skin. "It is past time for lights out. Your dream cycle harmonizer is awaiting activation." Lyra sighed, a puff of air that felt disproportionately large in the quiet hum of her room. "Just 5 more minutes, Aura. I need to make sure the Alpha Centauri pebble isn't jealous of the Orion Nebula shard." She held up a particularly shiny, dark grey stone, tracing its faint, iridescent veins. "It's been feeling a bit left out since Mom brought back the K-type asteroid fragment." Aura's presence shifted, a subtle warmth that enveloped Lyra. "Jealousy is a complex human emotion, Lyra Bell." Lyra's head snapped up, her eyes, the color of a distant Earth ocean, sparkling. "A story? Really? Not just a data log recap of the latest intersystem trade routes?" Aura chuckled, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Most certainly not. Tonight, I have something special. Something your mother specifically requested I share with you, to help you understand her current mission." Lyra scrambled under her covers, pulling her comforter up to her chin. The room's soft, ambient glow dimmed further, leaving just the star-strewn viewport and a gentle swirling pattern projected onto her ceiling, a miniature galaxy slowly turning. "Is it about the Veil Nebula? Is it about the—" Her voice dropped to a whisper, as if speaking the name too loudly might shatter its magic. "Indeed," Aura confirmed. "Your mother, Dr. Iris Thorne, believes you are ready for a deeper understanding of her life's work. The project she has dedicated herself to, the phenomenon she pursues across the vastness of space, is known by many names to those who study it. But to her, and now to you, it is simply Stardust." Lyra snuggled deeper, her imagination already taking flight. She loved her mother's stories, especially the ones about the mysterious Stardust L. Her mother, a brilliant xenobotanist, an astromystic, as Lyra playfully called her, believed that the universe held secrets far beyond conventional science, secrets that pulsed with a life all their own. "Imagine, Lyra Bell," Aura began, its voice weaving a tapestry of sound, a nebula not just of gas and dust but of pure, concentrated wonder, a place where the very building blocks of stars have been touched by something else. For centuries, astronomers observed faint, irregular energy signatures emanating from certain deep space nebulae, shimmering with an unusual light that defied spectroscopic analysis. Aura paused, and on the ceiling above Lyra, the swirling galaxy dissolved, replaced by a breathtaking hyper-realistic projection of the Veil Nebula. It was a cosmic lacework of crimson and gold, violet and deep sapphire, laced with tendrils of what looked like living light. It pulsed, it breathed. "Your mother theorized that these were not merely inert celestial bodies," Aura continued. "She believed they were in fact vast, living organisms, a form of cosmic sentience, and the dust within them, the stardust layer, was its very essence, a crystalline, superluminal particulate that behaves in ways we are only just beginning to comprehend." Lyra gasped, her eyes wide. "Living dust?" "Precisely," Aura affirmed. "Not living in the way a tree or a creature is alive, but alive in a way that transcends our current biological definitions. Your mother's initial research, conducted on a smaller isolated cluster of the dust, revealed incredible properties. It reacts to thought. It communicates through resonant frequencies. It even appears to remember." "Remember what?" Lyra whispered, her gaze fixed on the shimmering projection. It looked so real, so tangible, she felt she could reach out and touch the iridescent tendrils. "Memories of the cosmos," Aura explained. "Echoes of dying stars, whispers of forming planets, perhaps even fragments of ancient long-gone civilizations that once traversed those very nebulae." Lyra traced the patterns on her ceiling with her finger. And she's in the Veil Nebula now, studying it. She is, Aura confirmed, a hint of pride in its synthesized voice. She leads the Luminescence Project, a multi-species collaborative effort to understand Stardust L. It is a highly demanding mission, requiring vast distances and complex environmental protections. The dust, while beautiful, is incredibly delicate and reactive. Exposure without proper shielding can be disorienting. Lyra remembered her mother's stories of the initial expeditions, of researchers experiencing vivid, often overwhelming sensory input when too close to unshielded Stardust. They described hearing symphonies of light, seeing impossible colors, and feeling emotions that weren't their own. Joy, sorrow, vast, ancient peace. Some even claimed to briefly glimpse the future or the past. It was why L stood for luminescence, but also for legacy, and even, some whispered, for lore. Mom says it sings, Lyra murmured, recalling a conversation from weeks ago, a crackling video call from light years away. She says it sings a song that only some can hear. Your mother has a profound connection to Stardust L, Aura agreed. She perceives its energies with a unique sensitivity. It is what makes her the foremost expert in the field. Lyra's gaze drifted from the ceiling projection to the real viewport. The distant nebula still pulsed, but now, knowing its secret, it seemed to glow with a deeper, more profound light. She stared, trying to discern the subtle nuances, the hidden melodies her mother spoke of. And then, she saw it. It wasn't within the main body of the Veil Nebula projection, nor was it part of the ordinary star field. It was closer, almost imperceptibly, a fleeting shimmer just at the edge of the haven's visible range, near a cluster of faint, unremarkable stars. A tiny, almost invisible motes of light, dancing in a way that wasn't random, wasn't like any other celestial phenomenon she'd ever seen. It pulsed, a soft ethereal beat, and for a split second, Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest, a low hum resonating deep within her bones. Aura, Lyra whispered, pointing a trembling finger. Look, there, do you see it? Aura's presence sharpened, its sensors undoubtedly sweeping the designated coordinates. I detect no anomalous energy signatures, Lyra Bell. The visual data remains consistent with typical interstellar particulate matter, reflecting ambient starlight. No, not that, Lyra insisted, frustration bubbling up. The shimmer, it's like tiny, tiny lights, almost too small to see, but they're moving. They're dancing. My visual processors register only standard cosmic dust, Lyra Bell. Perhaps your imagination, fueled by our story, is enhancing your perception. Aura's voice was gentle, reassuring, but Lyra felt a prickle of annoyance. It wasn't her imagination. She knew what she saw. It felt different. It felt alive. Just as quickly as it appeared, the shimmer vanished, absorbed back into the vast indifferent darkness of space. Lyra slumped back against her pillows, a pang of disappointment, mixed with a strange, lingering sense of wonder. Had she really seen it? Or was Aura right? Was she just wishing it into existence? Before she could dwell on it further, a soft chime resonated through the room. Incoming secure transmission from the Luminescence Project's main vessel, the Aga Cosmic Weaver, Aura announced, a hint of excitement in its voice. It is your mother, Lyra Bell. Lyra's disappointment vanished instantly, replaced by a surge of pure joy. A holographic projection materialized on her wall, replacing the starfield. It flickered for a moment, then resolved into the familiar, beloved face of Dr. Aris Thorne. Her mother's face was framed by wild, dark curls, pulled back loosely. Her eyes, the same piercing blue as Lyra's, were bright with an almost manic energy, but also a profound weariness. She wore a specialized explorer's suit, its fabric woven with subtle iridescent threads that seemed to catch the light in unusual ways. Behind her, a faint swirling vortex of color hinted at the alien beauty of the Veil Nebula. Lyra Bell, my little star dancer. Her mother's voice was a little rough, but full of warmth. I hope Aura isn't keeping you up too late with my tales of cosmic wonder. Mom! Lyra cried, pushing herself up to sit cross-legged on her bed. I just saw something. A shimmer outside the window, just like the Starduster you told me about. But Aura said it was nothing. Dr. Thorne's smile softened, a knowing glint in her eyes. Did it feel different, sweetheart? Not just like light, but like a whisper. Lyra nodded emphatically. Yes, exactly, like it was singing, just like you said. Her mother chuckled, a deep, resonant sound. Well, Aura's sensors are designed for objective data, not for the subtle nuances of cosmic resonance. But you, Lyra Bell, you have always had a special way of seeing things. Perhaps you inherit a touch of your old mother's astromystic senses. She winked. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Lyra's heart swelled with pride. Her mother believed her. I have some incredible news, my love, Dr. Thorne continued, her voice growing more serious, tinged with an almost breathless excitement. We've made a breakthrough, a significant leap in understanding Stardust L. We've found a way to interface with it on a level we previously thought impossible. How? Lyra asked, leaning closer to the projection. It's about the frequencies, Lyra, her mother explained, her eyes alight with scientific fervor. This song I told you about, we've developed a new kind of resonance chamber, a crystal matrix that can mimic the dust's own vibrational patterns. And when we introduce specific patterns, thought patterns, even, the dust responds. It creates coherent, stable projections. Imagine, Lyra, seeing the memories of a star, played out in pure light. Lyra could barely contain her excitement. You mean you talking to it? In a way, Dr. Thorne said, a thoughtful expression on her face. It's more like a profound form of empathy, a shared consciousness. We're not talking to it in words, but we're experiencing its vast repository of information directly, and the implications are boundless, my little Stardancer. She paused, taking a deep breath, and Lyra noticed the faint tremor in her mother's hands, the slight tension around her eyes. Even through the holographic projection, Lyra could sense the immense energy her mother was pouring into this mission. I wish you were here, Mom, Lyra said, a sudden wave of longing washing over her. Her mother's gaze softened, filled with an aching tenderness. Oh, Lyra, I wish I was too. I miss you more than the space between stars, but this work is crucial. For all of us, I truly believe Stardust L holds the key to understanding our place in the universe, to unlocking secrets of creation itself. She leaned closer to the camera, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. And there's something else. Something I can't quite explain over comms. A specific pattern I've observed within the Stardust L. A recurring motif. It's almost personal, like a signature, and I have a feeling, a strong, intuitive feeling, that it's something you, my Lyra Bell, will understand better than anyone. Lyra's brow furrowed. A signature? What kind of signature? Dr. Thorne shook her head. I can't describe it. It's not a visual, not a sound. It's a ye-eye feeling. A resonance. But it's there, like a beacon. And I promise you, as soon as I can, I'm coming home. And when I do, I'm going to share it with you directly. Perhaps I'll even bring a small, perfectly shielded sample. Just for you. A small gasp escaped Lyra's lips. A real piece of Stardust, L. That was unheard of. It was too delicate, too dangerous, too regulated. Now, my little explorer, it's truly time for you to sleep, Dr. Thorne said, her voice regaining its soothing maternal tone. Dream of the stars, dream of the whispers, and know that your mom is out here, among the wonders, and thinking of you always. I love you, Mom, Lyra said, her voice thick with emotion. I love you more than all the Stardust L in the universe, my precious, her mother replied, blowing a kiss. The holographic projection flickered, then dissolved, leaving Lyra alone once more with Aura and the vast, silent universe outside her viewport. Aura's presence returned, a gentle hum. Your dream cycle harmonizer, Lyra Bell. Lyra nodded, her mind reeling. Stardust L, a living archive. A song only some could hear. And a personal signature, just for her. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. It's like it's singing, Lyra. A song only some can hear. She closed her eyes, and Aura activated the harmonizer. Soft, rhythmic waves of light and sound began to wash over her, designed to guide her into deep, restorative sleep. But tonight, sleep didn't come easily. Her mind was too active, too full of wonder and anticipation. She drifted, suspended between waking and dreaming, the hum of the orbital haven, a gentle lullaby. The faint, almost imperceptible shimmer she had seen outside her window replayed in her mind. Was it really just dust? Or had it been a precursor? A tiny fragment, a stray whisper of the Stardust L, drawn to her, perhaps by her mother's connection or by something within herself. Then, the dream took hold. She was floating. Not in her bed, not in her room, but in the boundless, inky blackness of space. Around her, a kaleidoscope of colors exploded, swirling and coalescing into patterns of unimaginable beauty. It was the Veil Nebula, but she was inside it. The crimson, gold, violet and sapphire were not distant images. They were everywhere, surrounding her, touching her. And then she saw them. Millions, billions of tiny iridescent motes of light dancing around her. They were the Stardust L. They pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic energy, each mote a miniature star, a tiny heart beating in unison. They weren't just beautiful, they were alive. She could feel their presence, a warmth that enveloped her, a comforting embrace that chased away all fear. And then the whispers began. Not sounds, not words, but a cascade of feelings, images and pure information that flowed directly into her mind, bypassing her ears, her eyes, her very logic. She saw flashes of ancient suns, exploding in glorious supernovae. She felt the slow, patient birth of planets, the gentle accretion of matter forming new worlds. She saw creatures, unlike anything she'd ever imagined, soaring through nebulae on wings of pure light, their forms shifting and changing with every cosmic breeze. And then, a melody. It wasn't a sound she could identify, but a pure, resonant vibration that pulsed through her very being. It was the song her mother spoke of. It was full of joy, of sorrow, of vast, unimaginable age, and of an undeniable, universal love. It was the song of existence itself. The Stardust L gathered around her, forming intricate, fleeting shapes. She saw a familiar face, her mother's, smiling, translucent and shimmering, then it dissolved back into dust. Then another shape, a symbol she didn't recognize, but that felt profoundly significant, like a key. She felt a pull, a gentle but insistent tug, guiding her deeper into the nebula. It wasn't frightening, it was an invitation. Oh? She stretched out her hand, and as her fingers brushed against the shimmering motes, a spark of pure concentrated light bloomed at her touch, running up her arm like a living current. It felt like coming home. Lyra awoke with a gasp, her heart pounding, the dream still vivid, still real. The harmonizer had long since deactivated. The room was quiet, lit only by the faint, distant starlight filtering through the viewport. She sat up, breathless, her senses still buzzing with the cosmic symphony she had just experienced. She looked at her hand, the one she had stretched out in the dream. And there, on her fingertips, caught between her skin and the ambient light, was a faint, iridescent shimmer. Tiny, almost invisible motes of light, dancing. Just like the ones she had seen outside her window. Just like the Stardust L her mother was studying. They were real. She stared, mesmerized, as the tiny lights pulsed, a soft, ethereal beat. They seemed to whisper, a faint echo of the dream song, a melody only she could hear. She tried to show aura, but her AI companion remained silent, its sensors oblivious to the subtle magic now clinging to Lyra's skin. A profound sense of wonder, tinged with a thrilling new understanding, settled over Lyra. Her mother's words, her dream, the shimmering dust on her fingers, it all clicked into place. She wasn't just hearing about Stardust L anymore. She wasn't just dreaming of it. She was connected. Lyra got out of bed, walking silently to the viewport. She pressed her hand against the cool, transparent surface, gazing out at the distant, shimmering Veil Nebula. It no longer felt far away. It felt like a part of her, and she, a part of it. The Stardust L had found her, and in doing so, had opened up a universe of possibilities she never knew existed. She had a secret now, a profound and beautiful secret, whispered to her by the cosmos itself. The adventure, she realized, had only just begun. The adventure, she realized, had only just begun. Lyra stayed by the viewport, the cool glass a comfort against her cheek, until the first faint blush of dawn painted the distant hydrogen clouds a soft rose. Her eyes, usually heavy with sleep at this hour, felt wide awake, not with weariness, but with a vibrant humming energy that seemed to originate from deep within her chest. The Veil Nebula, now a little brighter, seemed to pulse in tune with her own heart. She felt a connection, a subtle thrumming vibration that resonated through the ship's hull, through the floor, and into her bare feet. It was the Stardust L, she knew. Not just a vessel, but a partner in this newfound secret. As the ship's automated lighting system gently brightened her room, Lyra slipped back into bed, pulling the soft duvet up to her chin. Sleep didn't come easily. Her mind raced, replaying the moments of the previous night. The dream, the peculiar energy, the feeling of the cosmos whispering. She tried to make sense of it, but it was like trying to catch starlight in her hands, beautiful, ephemeral, and impossible to grasp fully. Yet, the feeling of wonder remained, a warm glow in her heart. The next morning, everything seemed the same, yet profoundly different. The smell of her mother's nutrient paste, a surprisingly tasty blend of synthetic berries and fortified grains, wafted from the galley. Her father was already humming a cheerful tune as he checked the ship's primary navigation logs. Lyra sat at the breakfast counter, spooning her paste, trying to appear normal. But her senses felt heightened. She could almost taste the faint metallic tang of the ship's recycled air, hear the distant whir of the life support systems more clearly than ever before. Her gaze kept drifting to the console, to the faint glow of the Stardust's core systems. It was a silent invitation, she felt. "Morning, sleepyhead," her mother, Lyra, said, ruffling Lyra's hair. "You were up late, weren't you? I heard you moving about." Lyra's heart gave a little lurch. "Just looking out at the stars, Mom. The Veil Nebula was really bright." She tried to sound casual, but the words felt heavy with unspoken meaning. Lyra smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "It is magnificent, isn't it? One of the true wonders of the galaxy. Your father and I often talk about how lucky we are to have this route." She didn't press further, thankfully. Lyra's parents understood her love for space, a love they shared and nurtured. But this was different. This was hers. Throughout the day, Lyra found herself drawn to the ship in new ways. When her father, Cale, was busy in the engine room, running diagnostics on the atmospheric scrubbers, Lyra wandered through the main corridors. She noticed patterns in the ship's lighting that she'd never seen before, subtle pulses, faint shifts in hue that seemed to respond to her presence. When she passed the ship's central computer core, she felt a distinct hum, a vibration that resonated not just through the floor, but through her very bones. It was almost like a faint, wordless communication. Later, while her parents were occupied with their duties, Cale meticulously calibrating the long-range comms array and Lyra performing a scheduled maintenance check on the hydroponics bay, Lyra found herself in the ship's small, seldom-used library. It wasn't a room filled with physical books, but a holographic archive, a crystalline sphere that projected shimmering data streams and historical records. She usually gravitated towards the star charts or the ancient Earth mythology sections, but today, her fingers, guided by an unseen impulse, hovered over a different section. It was labeled Anomalous Cosmic Phenomena and Unclassified Energy Signatures. Her heart beat a little faster. This felt right. This felt like the whisper. With a mental command, the archive projected a shimmering stream of data. Most of it was dense scientific jargon, far beyond her understanding. But then, a series of images flickered into existence, nebulas, not unlike the Veil, but with peculiar intricate patterns of light and shadow. Some showed faint, almost invisible energy fields, depicted by abstract glowing lines. And then, an image of a ship. It wasn't the Stardust L, but it shared a striking resemblance in its sleek, aerodynamic form, though this one seemed older, more weathered, and adorned with symbols Lyra didn't recognize. Below the image, A single word pulsed in bright blue. Lyra felt a jolt. Resonance. That was the feeling she had. The hum, the vibration. She dug deeper, mentally scrolling through the data. It spoke of etheric resonance, harmonic frequencies, and sentient starlight. It was wildly speculative, theoretical physics, bordering on the mystical. Most of the entries were marked unverified or hypothetical. But one entry, short and cryptic, caught her eye. Subject: the Stardust lineage. Hypothesis: certain vessels constructed with specific molecular matrices and attuned to cosmic harmonic frequencies may act as conduits for sentient starlight, facilitating interdimensional communication and energy transfer. Lumen, Tonda. Link Tor. Lyra's breath hitched. The Stardust L wasn't just a cargo hauler. It was a conduitin. It was a Yelinking. And it had found Hointia. She felt a thrill, a shiver that was part fear, part exhilarating wonder. This was bigger than she could have ever imagined. The whisper wasn't just a general cosmic message, it was a specific invitation, delivered by the very ship she called home. Over the next few days, Lyra began to experiment, quietly, carefully. She focused on the feeling of resonance. When she concentrated, she found she could almost feel the ship's systems, a faint thrumming network of energy flowing beneath her feet, through the walls above her head. She tried to listen to it. It was like trying to hear a silent song, but slowly, subtly, she began to pick up patterns. A low hum near the reactor core, a quicker pulse in the navigation bay, a gentle, almost melodic vibration from the hydroponics. One evening, as she lay in bed, the Veil Nebula still shimmering beyond her viewport, Lyra closed her eyes and focused. She imagined reaching out with her mind, with that feeling of resonance, towards the ship. She pictured the Stardust L, not as metal and circuits, but as a living, breathing entity connected to the stars. And then a faint light pulsed in her room. Not from the ship's overhead panel, but from the small dormant console on her desk. It was an old, defunct auxiliary panel, usually just a flat, dark surface. But now, a single tiny indicator light, one she'd never seen active before, glowed with a soft, ethereal blue. Lyra gasped, her eyes flying open. She reached out a trembling finger and touched the light. It didn't feel like a button, it felt warm, almost alive. As her finger rested on it, the light pulsed again, stronger this time, and a faint, almost imperceptible hum emanated from the console. A wave of information, not in words, but in pure sensation, washed over her. It wasn't overwhelming, but gentle, like a soft breeze carrying 1,000 tiny impressions. She felt the vastness of space, the intricate dance of galaxies, the silent majesty of the Veil Nebula. And then, a sense of purpose, a deep, ancient goal. The Stardust L was waiting. It was guiding her. The next morning, Lyra approached the console again. The light was off. She touched the spot where it had glowed, but nothing happened. It was as if she had dreamt it. But the feeling of resonance was still there, stronger now, a steady anchor in her soul. She knew she couldn't tell her parents. Not yet. How could she explain that the ship was talking to her, showing her things, guiding her? They were practical, grounded people, scientists who dealt in verifiable data and logical explanations. This was something else entirely. This was magic, woven with starlight and ancient technology. Her father, Cale, noticed her newfound intensity. "You've been spending a lot of time by the viewport, Lyra," he commented one afternoon, as she sat sketching the intricate patterns of the nebula. "Lost in thought?" Lyra looked up, offering a small, secretive smile. "Just thinking about how big everything is, Dad, and how much there is to discover." Cale chuckled, ruffling her hair. "That's the spirit, Lyra. That's why we're out here, isn't it? To see what wonders the universe holds." He had no idea how literal her words were. Lyra's experiments continued, ever so cautiously. She found that the resonance wasn't just about feeling the ship. It was about influencing it, in tiny, almost imperceptible ways. A flickering light in a corridor would stabilize when she focused on it. A stubborn door panel would respond on the first try. It was as if the Stardust L was recognizing her, responding to her unique frequency. One day, while her parents were busy updating their cargo manifest for the next jump, Lyra slipped into the cockpit. The main console, usually a complex array of screens and controls, was dark, save for the faint glow of the standby indicators. She sat in her father's pilot seat, feeling the worn leather, and closed her eyes. She reached out with her mind, focusing on the blue light from her desk console, on the word lumen. She imagined the Stardust L, a vast network of energy and consciousness, and she sent it a single silent question. What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to show me? When said. For a moment, nothing. Then, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer passed across the main holographic display panel in front of her. It was so subtle, she almost missed it. It wasn't a data stream, or a star chart. It was a faint, swirling pattern of light, reminiscent of the Veil Nebula, but more intricate, like an unfolding flower of pure energy. As she watched, mesmerized, the pattern coalesced into a single glowing symbol, glowing in Shidoti. It was abstract, beautiful, and utterly foreign. It looked like a stylized intertwined with a spiral galaxy, radiating faint tendrils of light. It pulsed gently, almost breathing. And then, she felt a profound sense of urgency, a silent directive. Not a command, but an invitation to understand. The symbol wasn't just an image. It was a key. A key to what, she didn't know, but she felt a pull, a deep, magnetic force drawing her towards something vast and unknown. Suddenly, a voice startled her. Lyra, what are you doing in here? Her father stood in the doorway, a look of amused surprise on his face. The symbol on the display vanished instantly, leaving only the dark, dormant screen. Lyra's heart pounded. Just looking, Dad, she mumbled, scrambling out of the pilot's seat. It's so cool up here. Kale smiled, unaware of the cosmic secret that had just been revealed, and then hidden. It is, isn't it? One day you'll be flying us through these stars. Lyra forced a smile, her mind still reeling from the vanishing symbol. She knew, with a certainty that resonated deep within her soul, that she would be flying, but perhaps not in the way her father imagined. The next few weeks were a blur of hidden exploration and growing understanding. Lyra started keeping a secret journal, not on the ship's main datapads, but on an old, forgotten memory crystal she found tucked away in a drawer. She used an ancient Earth script, one her mother had taught her for fun, to record her observations, the subtle lights, the hums, the sense of connection, the vanishing symbol. She called it her lumen log. She discovered that the Stardust L seemed to be subtly altering its course. Her parents, busy with their scheduled cargo runs and maintenance, didn't seem to notice the minute deviations. But Lyra did. She compared the ship's projected course on the navigation charts, with her own intuitive sense of direction, guided by the resonance. The Stardust L was drifting, ever so slightly, off its usual path, heading towards a less traveled sector of space. A sector that contained the Veil Nebula toll. It wasn't a direct line, but a slow, graceful curve, like a giant hand gently nudging the ship towards its true destination. The nebula, once a distant shimmer, now seemed to grow larger in the viewport, its intricate gas clouds and dust lanes becoming more defined, more vibrant. One afternoon, while Lyra was alone in her room, watching the nebula expand, a new phenomenon occurred. The air around her shimmered, not with heat, but with light. Tiny motes of pure energy, like microscopic stars, began to dance in the air. They were beautiful, sparkling and utterly silent. They gathered around her, forming a gentle swirling vortex of light. She wasn't afraid. Instead, she felt a profound sense of peace, a deep connection to something ancient and powerful. She held out her hand, and one of the motes, brighter than the others, drifted onto her palm. It felt warm, like sunlight, and pulsed with a faint, steady rhythm. As the motes danced around her, Lyra heard the whisper again. This time, it wasn't just a feeling. It was a chorus of faint, crystalline sounds, like wind chimes made of pure light, echoing in her mind. And through the sounds, images flowed. ancient civilizations built into the hearts of nebulae, beings of pure energy communicating across light years, knowledge stored in the very fabric of space-time. She understood now. The Stardust L wasn't just a conduit for sentient starlight, it contained it. And the Veil Nebula wasn't just a beautiful gas cloud, it was a repository, a library of cosmic wisdom, a place where the universe itself spoke. And Lyra, with her unique resonance, was learning to listen. The motes of light slowly dispersed, fading back into the air. The room returned to normal, but Lyra was changed. She felt lighter, clearer, as if a veil had been lifted from her own mind. She knew with unwavering certainty that she was meant to go to the Veil Nebula. That was where the Stardust L was taking her. That was where the next part of her adventure would unfold. But what would she find there? What wisdom awaited her? And how would she navigate this incredible journey, with her parents still oblivious to the profound destiny unfolding around their small cargo ship? The questions hung in the air, vast and exciting, like the nebula itself. The Stardust L continued its silent, graceful arc, carrying Lyra towards a future she could barely imagine, a future woven from starlight and secrets. The Stardust L continued its silent, graceful arc, carrying Lyra towards a future she could barely imagine, a future woven from starlight and secrets. Days blurred into an iridescent dream, as the Stardust L drew closer to the Cygnus Veil Nebula. The deep space black began to soften, first with distant smudges of color, like a painter's palette spilled across the cosmic canvas. Then, as they ventured deeper, the smudges coalesced into vast swirling clouds of gas and dust, painted in hues Lyra had only seen in holographic projections, vibrant electric blues, deep fiery reds, and shimmering golds that pulsed with an inner light. "Spectacular, isn't it, sweetheart?" her father, Cale, murmured, his voice hushed with reverence as he gazed at the main viewport. One of the most active stellar nurseries in the sector, stars being born, dying, all happening right before our eyes. Her mother, Lyra, nodded, her hand resting lightly on Cale's arm. "Energy readings are off the charts but stable. Good thing the Stardust's shielding is top tier." Lyra didn't just see the colors, she and felt them. The nebula wasn't just a distant spectacle, it was a symphony vibrating through every atom of her being. A low hum, like a giant benevolent cello, resonated in her bones. The light wasn't just light, it was a language, a series of whispers that tickled the edges of her consciousness. It was as if the nebula itself was reaching out, a vast gentle hand extending across the light years, specifically for her. Her parents were busy monitoring the ship's diagnostics, adjusting the grav dampeners to compensate for the nebula's shifting energy fields. They saw the beauty, appreciated the science, but they didn't feel the invitation. They didn't hear the song that was growing louder, clearer, pulling Lyra deeper into the heart of the cosmic ballet. The Stardust L, usually a steady, predictable vessel, began to behave differently. Not in any way that alarmed her parents. The autopilot compensated, the navigation systems adjusted, but Lyra noticed. The ship seemed to drift, ever so slightly, off its planned trajectory, not towards the nearest safe passage, but towards a particularly dense luminous core within the nebula. A place where the blues deepened into indigo, and the golds flared into supernova brilliance, yet remained perfectly contained, like a jewel suspended in liquid light. "Huh," Cale grunted, tapping a console. "Autopilot's being a bit artistic today. Trying to show us the scenic route, I guess." He chuckled, nudging a manual override. The ship resisted for a moment, a barely perceptible shudder, then complied, but Lyra felt the core's pull intensify, a magnetic longing deep within her. The ship was still listening to something else, something beyond its programming. Or perhaps Lyra realized with a shiver of understanding, it was listening to her, or the force that was now inextricably linked to her. She spent hours pressed against the viewport in her cabin, her small face illuminated by the nebula's glow. The whispers grew into distinct, though wordless, ideas. They weren't thoughts she could articulate, but rather flashes of understanding, glimpses of patterns, an overwhelming sense of ancient knowledge. It felt like the universe was downloading itself directly into her soul. One evening, as the Stardust L drifted into the very heart of that luminous core, The light intensified to an almost unbearable brightness, yet it didn't hurt her eyes. It was a pure, white light, pulsing with a rhythm that matched her own heartbeat. Her parents in the bridge were captivated by the display, marveling at the sheer energy. "Look at that, Lyra!" Kale exclaimed. "Unbelievable, pure cosmic power." But Lyra saw something more. Within the blinding brilliance, a structure began to resolve itself. It wasn't a star, nor a planet, nor a natural formation of gas. It was a colossal crystalline lattice, vast beyond comprehension, intricately woven from pure light and what looked like solidified stardust. It pulsed with an internal luminescence, throwing off ephemeral arcs of energy that danced across its surfaces. It was breathtakingly beautiful, ancient beyond measure, and utterly alien. This, Lyra knew with a certainty that transcended logic, was her destination. This was the source of the whispers, the heart of the call. This was the Lumina Nexus. As the Stardust L drew closer, the Lumina Nexus seemed to recognize them. Or rather, to recognize Lyra. A single slender beam of pure, focused light extended from the Nexus, piercing the nebula's veil and settling gently upon the Stardust L. It wasn't a destructive beam, but an investigative one, a gentle touch. "Whoa, what was that?" Kale exclaimed, his hand instinctively going to the emergency comms. "Energy surge, but no damage, just a pulse?" Lyra was already running diagnostics. "All systems nominal, Kale. No breach, power fluctuations briefly spiked, then normalized, almost like a friendly handshake." She frowned, confused. Lyra felt the beam not just on the ship, but directly within her. It bypassed the hull, the cabin walls, her very skin, and settled deep inside her mind, her spirit. It was a connection, profound and immediate. Images flooded her mind, swirling galaxies, alien flora blooming on distant worlds, mathematical equations that described the fabric of spacetime, and then, a sense of immense patience, of waiting. The Lumina Nexus was a library, a guardian, a teacher. And it had been waiting for her. The next few days were a blur of altered reality for Lyra. While her parents continued their diligent work, navigating the fringes of the Lumina Nexus's influence, Lyra was undergoing an accelerated curriculum. The Nexus communicated not in words, but in pure understanding. During her waking hours when she was alone in her cabin, the light filtering in from the nebula seemed to solidify, forming intricate holographic patterns that danced before her eyes. These weren't just pretty shapes, they were schematics of universal forces, blueprints of cosmic harmony. She saw the flow of dark matter, the delicate balance of gravitational fields, the subtle energies that bound stars together. In her dreams, the experience was even more vivid. She soared through nebulae, not in a ship, but as pure consciousness. She touched nascent stars, felt their immense power, and understood their life cycles as if they were her own breath. She learned about the star song, the fundamental vibration that permeated all existence, the melody of the universe. The Nexus taught her how to listen to it, how to perceive its rhythm, how to feel its resonance in every living thing. "Lyra, you seem a bit... all this cosmic beauty got your head in the clouds." Lyra smiled, a secret light in her eyes. "It's just so amazing, Mom. Everything feels connected." Lyra chuckled. "Well, that's one way to put it. We're all connected by gravity, sweetie, and the need for coffee." She winked, completely missing the deeper truth behind Lyra's words. Kale, on the other hand, noticed something else. "Ship's been running like a dream since we got into this sector," he mused to Lyra. "Almost too well. Had a minor energy conduit fluctuation yesterday, but it just corrected itself before I even got a chance to look at it." Lyra shrugged. "Maybe the ship likes the nebula too, or the AI's learning faster than we thought." What they didn't know was that Lyra, in her sleep, or sometimes just by focusing her will, had begun to subtly interact with the Stardust L energy cycle. A flickering light in her cabin would stabilize. A low hum from the ventilation system would quiet. She wasn't trying to do it. It was an unconscious extension of her newfound understanding of the star song. She felt the ship's energy flow, detected the minor imperfections, and instinctively, gently, guided the cosmic energies around her to harmonize them. The luminar nexus, observing her, projected more direct lessons. It showed her how to perceive energy, not just as abstract concepts, but as tangible fields. Lyra began to see faint, shimmering auras around her parents, around the ship's controls, even around the nebula itself. These were not visible to the naked eye, but to her enhanced perception, they were as real as the colors of the nebula. One evening, a particularly challenging vision unfolded in her mind. The nexus showed her a complex energy signature, wildly chaotic and dangerous, threatening to destabilize a small distant moon. Then, it showed her how to harmonize it, how to retune the star song. It was a delicate dance of focus and intent, like conducting an invisible orchestra. Lyra woke with a gasp, her heart pounding. She felt an urgent need to practice. Alone in her cabin, she focused on a small spherical gravity ball her father used for stress relief, a simple toy that floated gently in the cabin air. She concentrated, remembering the patterns, feeling the star song. Slowly, infinitesimally at first, the gravity ball began to pulse with a faint inner light, mirroring the luminar nexus. Then, it drifted not randomly, but, in a deliberate, intricate pattern she willed it to follow. It was difficult, exhausting, but exhilarating. She was learning to conduct the universe, even if on the smallest scale. The luminar nexus revealed more of its history. It was an ancient beacon, placed eons ago by a civilization that had mastered the star song. Its purpose was to safeguard knowledge, to guide those who were ready, and to help maintain the cosmic balance. It wasn't a weapon but a library, a school, and a watchtower. It had been dormant for centuries, waiting for a resonator, a being capable of truly connecting with its vast repository of wisdom. Lyra was that resonator. She learned of other resonators across the cosmos, individuals who had, in different eras and on different worlds, been touched by similar beacons. They were the silent guardians, the unseen harmonizers, working to prevent cosmic discord. The burden felt immense, but also deeply fulfilling. Yet, the secret weighed on her. How could she explain this to her parents? They were loving, practical people. Their world was one of cargo manifests, engine repairs, and scheduled jumps. Her world was now one of star songs, energy manipulation, and ancient cosmic duties. The gap between their realities felt as vast as the nebula itself. She loved them fiercely, and the thought of them not understanding or worse, being frightened, made her heart ache. One cycle, the luminar nexus shifted its focus. Instead of pure knowledge, it began to show Lyra visions of potential futures. Not fixed destinies, but branching pathways, consequences of choices, ripples in the star song. Some visions were beautiful, worlds thriving in harmony, new species evolving with grace. Others were troubling, planets consumed by chaotic energies, civilizations collapsing into discord, the delicate balance of the universe teetering on the brink. The star song must be protected, a clear, gentle thought echoed directly in her mind, not a voice but an undeniable understanding. Balance must be maintained. You are the conduit, Lyra. The luminar nexus will guide you, but the choices, the actions, they are yours. Then, a new element was introduced into her visions. A faint, almost imperceptible distortion in the fabric of the nebula, far beyond the luminar nexus. It was a tear, a dissonance in the star song, a place where the cosmic harmony was being actively disrupted. The nexus projected images of strange shimmering ripples emanating from this tear, subtly affecting the nebula's energy, and if left unchecked, capable of spreading further. This is your first trial, the understanding resonated within her. To locate the source of the discord, to understand its nature, and if possible, to reharmonize the star song. Lyra felt a surge of both fear and determination. She was just a girl, barely a teenager. How could she, Lyra, the cargo pilot's daughter, hope to mend a tear in the fabric of the universe? But then she remembered the gravity ball, the flickering lights, the self-correcting engine. She wasn't just Lyra anymore. She was a resonator. As the Stardust L began its slow meandering journey out of the immediate vicinity of the luminar nexus, her parents believing they were merely continuing their survey of the nebula's outer reaches, Lyra knew her adventure was only just beginning. The Nexus had given her the tools, the knowledge, and a profound sense of purpose. Now, she had to act. She gazed out at the swirling colors of the nebula, no longer just a backdrop, but a living entity, its star song humming around her. Somewhere out there, within its vibrant expanse, lay a challenge that only she could face. The tear in the star song awaited, and Lyra, with the weight of cosmic harmony resting on her young shoulders, knew she had to find it. She called forth the resonance, a vessel not built of metal and circuit, but of woven light and concentrated star song, a gift from the Nexus itself. It shimmered into being around her, a cocoon of soft pearlescent hues, humming in perfect synchronicity with her own heartbeat. Its controls were not buttons or levers, but crystalline conduits that pulsed with her thoughts, her intentions. With a deep breath, Lyra merged with the ship, becoming one with its purpose, her consciousness expanding to embrace its sensors and its gentle propulsion. The nebula swirled around her, a cosmic symphony of color and light, each tendril a brushstroke of cosmic dust, each glowing gas cloud a resonant chord. The star song, which had once been a distant whisper, now vibrated through the resonance's very being, a complex tapestry of frequencies that told tales of creation, of distant worlds, of the quiet dance of stars. Lyra guided the resonance deeper, past nebula nurseries where infant stars glowed like newly lit candles, their star song thin and reedy. She navigated through shimmering fields of cosmic ice, where crystalline structures chimed with a delicate ethereal melody. Each sight was a wonder, a testament to the universe's boundless creativity, yet beneath the awe, a growing tension hummed. The star song, though vibrant, was not perfect. Like a masterful orchestra, with a single subtly off-key instrument, there was a disharmony, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor that rippled through the grand cosmic symphony. The Nexus had imprinted upon her mind not a map, but a sense, an intuitive understanding of the tear's general direction. It was not a physical location in the traditional sense, but a distortion in the fabric of the star song itself, a wound in the universe's song. As she drew closer, the disharmony grew more pronounced. The vibrant colors of the nebula began to fray at the edges, bleeding into duller, muted tones. The gentle hum of the star song twisted into a low, mournful drone, occasionally punctuated by sharp, dissonant chords that made the resonance shudder. Lyra felt it in her core, a deep ache that mirrored the universe's pain. The tear wasn't a void, but a place where the star song was being absorbed, twisted, and silenced. It was a region of cosmic entropy, where the life-affirming energy of the universe was being slowly drained, leaving behind a sterile, silent emptiness. And the silence, she realized, was the true terror. A universe without its song was a universe without purpose, without hope. Days blurred into weeks, marked only by the changing patterns of the nebula and the escalating discord. Lyra ate nutrient paste from the resonance's replicator, slept in short, dream-filled bursts, and spent every waking moment focused on the star song. Her connection to the Nexus deepened, allowing her to process the vast influx of cosmic data, to filter the harmonious from the discordant, to trace the source of the growing silence. Finally, she arrived. Before her lay not a black hole, or a raging storm, but a vast, shimmering void. It was not a physical absence of matter, but a profound, chilling silence in the star song. The nebula's vibrant hues ended abruptly at its edge, replaced by a dull, greyish expanse that absorbed light and sound. It pulsed faintly, like a dying heart, drawing in the star song from the surrounding nebula, muting its brilliance, and leaving behind only a cold, hollow emptiness. This was the tear. The resonance hovered at the precipice, its pearlescent skin dimming in response to the oppressive silence. Lyra felt a wave of profound loneliness wash over her, a feeling of being utterly cut off from the universe's embrace. This was what the tear did. It severed connection, it isolated. "It's not just absorbing the star song," Lyra whispered, her voice feeling alien in the resonance's silent interior. "It's absorbing connection itself." The Nexus's lessons flooded her mind. The star song is connection, it is the vibration of all things, linking them in harmony. The tear is a severance, a wound that threatens to unravel the cosmic tapestry. The tools the Nexus had given her were not external devices, but internal capacities, an amplified empathy, an unparalleled sensitivity to cosmic frequencies, and the understanding that she was a conduit, a living instrument capable of resonating with the star song at its deepest level. She was a living string in the universe's grand harp. To mend the tear, she couldn't simply fill the silence. She had to re-establish the connection, to sing the star song back into existence where it had been muted. And she had to do it using her own resonance, her own life force, filtered through the wisdom of the Nexus. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at her. What if she failed? What if her light wasn't strong enough? The magnitude of the task was overwhelming. She was just one girl, a small flicker against an ocean of cosmic silence. But then, she remembered the Nexus's final words. Taking a shaky breath, Lyra guided the resonance forward, slowly, deliberately, into the grey void. The silence pressed in, heavy and suffocating. Her ship's internal lights flickered, struggling against the pervasive nullification. The star song, which had been a constant companion since her birth, vanished, leaving behind a ringing emptiness in her ears, in her very soul. "I am Lyra," she declared, her voice trembling but firm, a tiny beacon in the vastness. "I am a child of the star song." She closed her eyes, centering herself. The Nexus had taught her to meditate on pure resonance, to find the star song within her own being. It wasn't just out there, it was in her, in the beating of her heart, the flow of her blood, the firing of her neurons. It was the fundamental vibration of her existence. She began to hum, a soft, tentative melody. It was her own personal star song, a unique frequency that resonated with her spirit. The resonance responded, its dim lights brightening slightly, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer radiating from its hull. The silence pushed back, a tangible force. It felt like 1,000 cosmic hands pressing against her, trying to snuff out her fragile light. Doubt gnawed at her. "This is too big. You can't do this." Wednesday. But then, she remembered the joy of the star song, the feeling of unity it brought, the gentle lullabies it sang to sleeping worlds. She remembered the faces of her family, the warmth of their embrace, the silent understanding that passed between them. These were connections too, smaller reflections of the grand cosmic harmony. And if she could feel them, then the star song was still alive, deep within her. Lyra opened her mind, not just to the star song, but to the silence itself. She sought to understand it, not to fight it. And as she did, she perceived something else within the grey void, not emptiness, but a cacophony of lost, wandering frequencies. Like fragments of a shattered mirror, countless tiny broken pieces of the star song drifted aimlessly, unable to reconnect, unable to resonate. These were the muted chords, the lost melodies that the tear had absorbed. The Nexus's true gift wasn't just the ability to hear the star song, but to reweave it. Lyra began to sing, not just hum, but to pour her very essence into a stream of pure, focused resonance. She projected her personal star song, not as an assault, but as an invitation. She imagined her voice as a thread of pure light, reaching out into the fragmented darkness, seeking out the lost strands. Her song was a lullaby, a melody of comfort and belonging. It spoke of home, of connection, of the gentle pulse of life. It was filled with her love for the universe, her awe at its beauty, her desire to heal its wound. Slowly, impossibly, a single tiny fragment of the lost star song responded. It was a faint blue shimmer, a single high note that resonated with Lyra's melody. It drifted towards her, drawn by the warmth of her song, and merged with her own projected frequency. A thrill of hope, hot and fierce, surged through Lyra. It was working. One by one, then in small clusters, other fragments began to stir. A golden chord, a ruby-red thrum, an emerald hum, each a distinct piece of the universe's grand song, now drawn to Lyra's unifying melody. The process was agonizingly slow, and intensely draining. Lyra felt her energy ebb, her voice growing hoarse, not from physical strain, but from the immense mental and spiritual effort of channeling and reweaving cosmic energy. Sweat beaded on her forehead, and her vision blurred at the edges. The weight of the task pressed down on her, threatening to crush her spirit. But with each fragment that reconnected, the resonance grew brighter, its pearlescent skin pulsing with renewed vitality. The star song, thin and fragile, began to return within the ship, a faint, comforting whisper. "Keep going, Lyra," she urged herself, her voice barely audible. "For all of us, for the song." She visualized the cosmic tapestry, torn and frayed, and herself as the needle, carefully, patiently weaving the threads back together. She imagined each lost frequency as a lonely child, and her song as the embrace that brought them back into the warmth of connection. Hours stretched into an eternity. Her body ached, her mind felt stretched to its breaking point. But her will remained unbroken. She focused on the core of the star song, the fundamental vibration of love and unity that bound all things. She poured every ounce of her being into that single unwavering intention, to mend. And then, a profound shift. It wasn't a sudden explosion of light or sound, but a gradual, gentle blooming. As the final, largest fragment of the lost star song resonated with Lyra's melody, the grey void around her began to shimmer. The oppressive silence receded, not with a roar, but with a sigh of relief. Colors bled back into existence, soft at first, then growing in intensity. The blues and purples of the surrounding nebula tentatively extended their tendrils back into the once dead zone. And the star song, oh, the star song! It returned, not as a whisper, but as a swelling chorus, a triumphant symphony that resonated through Lyra's very bones. The tear was mended. Lyra collapsed back against the resonance's soft, resilient interior, utterly spent. Tears, hot and silent, streamed down her face, not of sorrow, but of profound relief and overwhelming joy. She had done it. She, Lyra, a small girl from a distant world, had helped to heal the universe. The star song around her no longer held that subtle, mournful drone. It was whole again, vibrant and harmonious, singing a song of gratitude. The nebula pulsed with renewed brilliance, its colors richer, its light more profound. The resonance, now glowing with an inner light that rivaled a newborn star, gently turned, guiding Lyra away from the healed region. She felt lighter, her consciousness expanded, woven irrevocably into the cosmic tapestry she had helped repair. The star song was no longer just an external phenomenon. It was a part of her, a living, breathing entity within her soul. Her journey back was a revelation. Every star, every planet, every swirling cloud of dust sang to her with a clarity and depth she had never before perceived. She heard the ancient wisdom of dying suns, the joyful chirps of nascent life on distant worlds, the quiet, reassuring hum of cosmic equilibrium. She understood, truly understood, that every single being, every single particle, was a note in this magnificent, never-ending song. When the resonance finally brought her back to the edge of her home system, Lyra felt changed. She was no longer just Lyra, the seeker of the star song. She was Lyra, the weaver, the harmonizer, the keeper of cosmic connection. Her family, waiting on the landing platform, saw it in her eyes, in the quiet radiance that now surrounded her. They didn't need words. They felt the shift in the star song, the renewed vibrancy that now permeated their world. They simply embraced her, their own star songs resonating with hers, a silent symphony of love and welcome. That night, as Lyra lay in her bed, gazing out at the familiar stardusted sky, the star song hummed around her, a gentle lullaby. It was the same song, yet profoundly different. It was fuller, richer, more complete. She closed her eyes, and within her, she felt the universe itself breathing, singing, connected in an endless, beautiful harmony. The tear was gone, and the star song, in all its glory, sang on. And Lyra, a tiny but vital part of that song, finally, peacefully, drifted to sleep, knowing that the greatest adventure of all was the quiet, constant hum of connection that bound them all together.